Good evening, free enterprise fans, and welcome to the Highway to the Zemus Zone's 6th edition. My name is Organ Mike, and I am here on commentary for this race between Guerin and flossiefern, and with me is Deathlight.
Good night. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to watch this. I see the objectives. I we will be memeing quite a bit on this combination of objectives is a wondrous disaster.
It's looking quite exciting. I mean, let's see. We've got Murasame and the Ribbon Room and the Crystal Sword all possibly required. So at some point, our runners are going to have to go to the moon and to the lunar subterrane because they can only leave 2 goals behind, and that's 3 that I count.
Yeah, I mean, you clump quite a bit of those together. I mean, you see you do both Fey March bosses, or the 3 on the moon. I mean, you're gonna have to grind. How this grind is accomplished, we'll find out. Which is the best way. Basic when doing base. Most importantly, when they receive the darkness crystal, that as the way of grinding might be a little difficult to seed.
Oh, I'm sure we'll see some interesting decisions having to be made, and with Yang as our hero, that's also a curious choice. That means Yang is going to be stuck with the party through the entirety of the game, is going to be our agility anchor, and is going to get experience regardless of whether he's on his feet or not.
Yeah, so I think he's known as the punch mage for a reason, and one of the things about being a mage is being kind of slow to almost average speed. So this is fine for the most part. What can be really spicy is the acquisition of cat claws. Cat claws in the current version of Free Enterprise is it's really affordable. 10,000 will get you a cat claw if you find it. The question then becomes, do you really want to mess with Yang's agility as the anchor to gain a decent bit of power? Some depends on where you're at in the seed.
I'm sure those are choices the runners will have to be faced with. So beyond the King and Queen of Monsters and the 3 subterranean altars, we also have burning the village mist with the package, which is always a lengthy option for a goal, but is not too far into the game, so depending on where they find the package, obviously. And of course, the traditional Coco forging the legend sword with the adamant, and it looks like our racers are off, or at least one of them is. We're going to see who the punch mage is going to be paired with. An actual mage. And we've got an evil wall standing there handing them a twin harp. Well, this is certainly an interesting start to things.
This is the time where you panic. This is Yang. You'd hope for like a Pelham second character, or maybe a Rosa. This is Rydia is not going to help.
Well, Kid Rydia does have white magic, so maybe it might be a little bit useful.
You need levels. She has not learned Cure 1. She's got nothing. So she the only way this team starts to be useful is you are desperate to look for a dancing dagger.
Well, Guerin's gonna go to cave or to Eblin Castle and see what he can find there in the treasure chests.
I think this is a solid play. Guerin is optimizing a little bit, hoping that there are no whammies in the treasure chests. It is possible, but not but it's unlikely. And the best part is if is it able to manage to run out without finding a monster in the chest. Oh well, unfortunate, but that's still pretty good.
There seems to be some good stuff there. There was a sorcerer robe. I saw a flame whip, which might be useful for Rydia. I don't know. Can she use whips before she's grown up?
You can still use whips. Yes. You would never be able to access whip in vanilla, but she has everything available to her. I mean, the only difference between older younger Rydia, naturally speaking, is the access to white mage equipment. So we're talking about staffs for the most part, and the penultimate white robe. But she's not really a white mage, and frankly, I'd rather, if whenever Blarg is, or even Leviathan is around, let her do those things.
Oh, for sure. But, at the moment, you need whatever you can get to get this Kid Rydia into a position to be somewhat useful. So there's definitely also a lot of crystal and diamond equipment in Evelyn too, which is, at the moment, not particularly handy, but who knows, maybe we find someone who can use those. I think I saw 2 crystal gloves too. I'm not sure that both of those are ever useful.
Cecil required. Cecil required, yeah. Unfortunately. My thing with Yang in terms of equipment is typically, is more of a like the equipment he can equip is essentially the most universal equipment, but that also means that you have to kind of get lucky and get that. So black belt would be one of them, like things like headband, bandana, ninja hats. We're talking about basically universal. And usually universal really means universal minus Dark Knight Cecil. And those are the kinds of equipment that Yang can equip. And that's kind of unfortunate how few pieces of equipment he has access to.
Flossiefern has found silk webs for sale at Agart, and Guerin is into Damsian, found a bandana and an earth hammer in case we run into a Cid.
A Cid would actually be valuable at this stage, given I suspect both our runners will make a trip to Mount Hobbs. The trip may be delayed depending on what the boss is. Especially at this version of Yang, regardless of what equipment you give him, it's probably may need a little bit of help. So it really depends on the character on Hobbs to determine. And I think Flossie is making an interesting decision, trying to at least check and maybe and if the bosses were easier, would probably get some cheap XP. But apparently,
well, we know
probably not.
D-Lunar's not going to be in a tricky spot anyway.
It's actually still very difficult for that group as constituted.
Flossiefern is raiding the town of Mist, the as yet undestroyed town.
I've seen not a few runners come here. It's a very interesting place. I mean, I see bandana and headband, so some really nice headgear for these characters. Actually, so I mean, there's something for Yang. So that's the actual plus, and we'll probably sell the farm on something. Crystal Gauntlet probably be the best because it's Cecil only, and
Rosa and Bahamut on Hobbs. Could be. Wonder if this was handleable with this party.
I think the HP is a little concerning. Rosa, I'm not sure what. No, so I was kind of
Star Veils.
Yeah, I think this is trying to time up the Star Veils. It makes a lot of sense. Although I'm more trying to be more aggressive, trying to get through. But this is probably the safest route, though the reduced safety for Yang's gonna not live, but he's gonna get XP, so that's fine.
No need to waste a Star Veil on Yang when you don't need to worry about his level. And that will put Rydia into position to be slightly more useful anyway. A few more spells. And it will give Guerin that white mage that we were talking about off the hop. So Rosa with Yang is a powerful pair.
Well, this makes Zot a lot more mandatory. I mean, this is a requirement in our objectives list, but more importantly, you do want exit for various reasons. I think though I think after doing this, Rydia should have access to warp, which would make the Antlion cave trip much more palatable. As warp, without having exit accessible at the very moment, having warp makes that trip much more feasible for many a runner.
And it looks like Guerin is going to go to Fabul, I think, yeah. And Flossiefern checked out Kaipo. I don't believe she checked to see who was in the bed, but I could have missed it.
It's interesting to check the bed if it's if you actually need the sand ruby. It's one of those things where if you get it early, cool. You don't, whatever. Apparently, some version of Mylon is taking a bath.
And we have demist, interesting at Fabul.
Yeah,
Rydia also has that Leviathan summon to make things that much more fun.
Yeah, I think that should be okay. The damage should be okay. The sorcerer will negate the effects of the flame whip, as equipping the stronger whips, the flame whip and the dragon whip, reduces her wisdom, which powers her summons. So and
Guerin did switch to the power staff, I believe, and the demist bowed to the greater dragon and left Fabul alone. And we see what the king is holding, the pan. Interesting, the king having raided Sheila's pantry, apparently.
Look, when the pan shows up in this way, now you don't have to regret trying to hope for a one-trip Fabul. This is why I'm of the mind you do this just mostly for the early XP, but also just trying to, you're gonna make a second trip here, and that's fine. If you better that than a three-time trip to Fabul.
And Flossiefern is checking the front of Hobbs and finding a Sylph summon for Rydia, which has potential to be interesting as well.
Although with the Leviathan summon orb, I think Leviathan will probably get more play. Sylph has some decent niche applications, specifically when you fight like a boss like Ogopogo, the other wet noodle. That there is some value, but it's not like between both of them. You want Leviathan. Sylph is kind of like cool after the fact.
We got Guerin checking on what he's getting from that mist dragon. We're getting the hook. Hello, there's our underground access. Mist dragon at Fabul leading to the hook from Rydia's mom.
So, I still think it's worth looking for the magma key anyways, just hoping to avoid doing the hook route if at all possible. Especially given this group, it's still doable, but that means more likely have to get some levels on Yang, which means doing some of the Evelyn chests just for the XP to make it more viable. But it's one of those things that might be worth thinking of doing, like for runners, is to just get the characters, see who the boss is, and to figure out, like, if it's worth needing a grind or anything. Like if it was like King Queen Evelyn at the ruby spot, that would be ideal. You don't have to do anything particular, but if it were something a more devastating boss, that would be then you have to have a few more plans in store.
We have one of the twins at the Baron Inn that Guerin is going to try and rescue, taking from Baigan. Baigan at this spot won't have a whole lot of hit points either, I don't think.
Yeah,
that left arm sure went down quick. While Flossie is taking on Bahamut.
So I think together the Baron guards have at this spot is like a little bit north of 400, like 450 total. I don't remember the exact number. So the arm has come off pretty easily. The question is what's behind.
We got a looter sparkle, and it is Hailed Him with karate speed and karate power.
So the more devastating thing is that the karate spot is very punchy, and realizing this is not going to be enough, and probably wanted Rita to be up summoning Leviathan, although there will be a painful counter. Probably not that painful at this spot, as this spot has no no real spell power to speak of. But even it does, even with that kind of even the spell power potential, it's not. You don't want your characters to kind of fall over and keel over pretty quickly, because those punches that will follow after that will still hurt.
Now, Guerin abandoning Baron and headed instead down to the Antlion cave, finding some interesting stuff there, including a Sylph orb. So we'll see who the Antlion is today, and it is the Elements. Interesting. Well, flossiefern is going up to Fabul to check out the Venus.
Yeah, elements of this spot is pretty free. It's reasonably trivial. So and I mean,
yeah, not a lot of hit points on the Antlion. So yeah, down with the elements, and up comes a crystal helmet.
I mean,
Guerin deciding that's not worth his time to walk it out.
I mean, it's a lot of money for being like, well, loot in the form of future money. Still haven't found a Cecil, so Guerin, I think, is hoping kind of beyond a hope for something useful, like hoping to avoid the hook route at all costs. So that's what it's, at least at this point. I mean, at this point, this is kind of a sort of a desperation. Not really. It's like, I don't want to do. I don't want to do hook route. Please give me magma key. And for our runners, that's an opportunity.
Well, we'll see what Ordeals has to offer for Guerin, and they also do have the twin harp they can check, although that's probably a little beyond their capacity right now. We see Azura in the first spot, where we would find Mylon and friends.
Mylon's spot is still pretty high in terms of spell power. So don't think the extra ice claw actually helps, as because it doesn't add to the attack power, and you when you have two weapons, you do the average accuracy of one hand. This actually does anything outside of reduce the accuracy on Yang. Probably grand scheme doesn't make a difference, but it's just worth noting.
We're seeing Guerin attempt a lifelock tactic on Azura, forcing her to continually cast life on her turns rather than actually healing herself.
Yeah, it's a very interesting trick. And probably wants to conserve on the Star Veils consumed when facing behind. Not having looked for Star Veils in shops, probably a decent idea. It's not like this spot is going to take too much to take down, but you want for a boss, particular boss or two.
Well, it's also important to get through that Bahamut so that you could get Rosa in the party too. So using a couple Star Veils for that, I think, is probably a worthwhile cause. But I'm not an experienced runner, as I tend to establish when we do these streams. So,
I mean, if you want to save Star Veils, you just have to be full aggressive on Bahamut to conserve. And that doesn't all with the starting party probably wasn't in an ideal situation. Would have had, maybe do Fabul first, the defensive Fabul, and then come here. So Rita would have gotten some levels. Vision, how you'd run things.
Guerin has given us a textbook demonstration of how to lifelock Azura. Just patience and timing and waiting for the moment.
And for the record, to use the Star Veils, you need to use two, because since Star Veils you can't target any. Then the character using it, you have to use the same item on the same character to get the wall on Azura, which is very much not ideal. And flossiefern, speaking of Star Veils, found them on the Lord shop, and is probably selling the farm a little bit just to get a few more.
Yeah, she hadn't used them to fight Bahamut. She just went full aggressive. Guerin has defeated Azura, and I'm sure we'll see, after a save, I hope, who will be our back attack on the bridge at Ordeals.
That is my favorite spot for spiciness. A lot of bad things happen, and that's not that spicy. This is fine.
It is Golbez.
Though...
Ha ha ha, everybody.
The Star Veils we're talking about, this is the time to use it, and probably one I think there's only one left on Guerin, so that means one character is going to live. So one character is going to live, and it's not going to be Yang.
And Flossiefern has just stocked up and is heading up Ordeals herself.
I think this is an opportunity for Flossie to actually gain time, given that what we know, both bosses, or sure, not so much, but sometimes, but in this case, will gain back quite a bit of time that Guerin would have to use the lifelock strats. It's just that much faster, not having to kind of slow down on your attacks to.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Spend more time.
We'll see what happens in the strategy. Guerin having only one Starveil, we'll see who, if he manages to get it up. Yes, gets it up on Young, and we'll see how well that works for helping take down Golbez, who's got a fair bit of magic power, showing some strength here.
It's like 4,000 HP at this spot, so I just think he needs to pull it. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, Golbez does need to be defeated by one of your characters. He cannot kill himself with his own spells.
He actually can, but it takes a long time. By that time, that matters. That Star Veil would have worn off. It's like a typical can possibly have on a character, like 65,000. So you do need to actually do some damage yourself.
I was unaware that that was a thing. And now we get to see who Young has to fight to become his greater self, presumably. Because this is a hero flag, Young has to do the Ordeals fight by himself. This is something that only he can do.
Yeah, that's the thing about Sea Heroes. Depending on who you start with, you always, when you do this trek up Mount Ordeals, you need to make sure your main character can actually face whatever's up there. It's a key item, not something that you can do anything with right now, but certainly an objective to do once completing the hook route.
And the Antlion is here and should probably pose not too much of a problem.
Just 1,000 HP. You just have to do 1,000 HP at this specific spot, which is a nice thing.
The Flossiefern making her advance as well is also doing lifelock strats on Azura. But she's also doing significantly more damage, and I think that fight went a bit quicker for her than it did for Guerin.
I think I'm trying to remember if Guerin was doing some power hitting, basically a charged up attack, which is really as that does double damage.
I don't believe he was because of the timing issues, right? The potential for missing one of those lifelock attacks.
Yeah. The act of doing the power attack.
And Ryudo is pointing out in chat that Flossie had mute arrows equipped, which also does extra damage.
Yes, Azure is a mage. There are a number of mage bosses, Maga Sisters, Baron Guard. Surprise! Cast all that magic when you deal damage when you hit them physically. Yeah, they.
And we've got Flossie taking on Golbez and loses Rosa to Demolish. And Guerin is checking out Silvera finally and going to find those vaunted Starveils.
Yeah, I do like the trip to Silvera for the item shop, and also some decent loot if you do need the money. I'm kind of one of the. I don't think we're able to use the strats to get out of the paralysis.
No, they didn't use any. Yeah, they didn't use any strats for paralysis, simply because, for one thing, they didn't know Golbez was there, so it's hard to set that up if you don't know what's coming. Both runners are both runners. Both runners are. Guerin's been through Golbez for a while. Flossiefern now through Golbez, and going to find out Young fighting the Antlion is not, in fact, going to give her access to the underground. Guerin has given up the search for the hook because I think the only other place, or for the magma key, because I think the only other place he might find it at this point would be behind the harp, and I don't think the twin harp is on the list right now of doable things.
I think it's mostly doable. It might be slow. I think that
could take a chance too on finding an easy boss there.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You have to, like, just in for Enterprise, you kind of do, or just any rando, you kind of gamble. Not to take chances. Understandable. I think with the shops looking kind of weak, S Pro being on, but I almost saw kind of like a vanilla shop with the Ice Brand and Blizzard being sold. Those are not exciting things to get access to, especially not having either character in the party.
And what Flossiefern's fight with the Antlion shows, as well as potentially with the Asura, is the benefit of having looked for some better equipment. Took her two rounds to take out Antlion, where it took Guerin 3. Guerin, meanwhile, has found a duplicate Rydia being attacked by the Magus sisters in the Eblin tunnels. So Rydia there, no help to the party because we cannot use duplicates in this flag set, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. So you want different characters to show up. And duplicates are a thorn, especially when you're trying to get more characters to fight the boss. I think Mag Sisters that spot shouldn't be too bad. It might be slow, but for not having any mage tech, I think at least for Guerin, that will be find some equipment. Trying to so Heron Robe will.
Yeah, the Heroine Robe is there to play into things. That will be exciting.
It probably wants to find an Elven bow, especially, or at least some mute arrows to go to for Rosa to just power through. Character will probably. I mean, you could probably fit in Rydia, but Rydia does have summons, so you don't want to waste her turns pew-pewing at the Magus Sisters. So I think Guerin is just trying to find some mage equipment. I think because this is going to be it's going to be a slow fight without it.
Guerin looking to buy Sylph. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I was going to say he found Sylph earlier, but yes, he also he found Sylph in the Antlion cave, and then did not save after that. He left it behind. Flossiefern getting her hook. Guerin not knowing that Sylph is at the front of Hobbs from that Rydia special event. But possibly purchasing Sylph, we might actually see Twin Harp happening here.
Is an option. It might be interesting if it leads into something. I think though Guerin is probably just gearing up for the.
Yeah, I'll take a second crack at the Baron fight.
I think it's reasonable. I mean, knows what's there, so needs to kind of set up, get everything, and the Heron Robe should be more than not in terms of surviving the blows. Most likely Rosa will be the one living. I'm not sure how efficient the damage is. Kind of hoping, thinking, maybe you should, maybe do some Eblin Berserk so she can just Zerk herself, and then hope that'll be enough to dispatch the Pale Dim. But hey, those are just options on the table.
And Flossie does a massive overkill of Bagan with Leviathan and is now on to Pale Dim, and she's going straight at it. No hesitation here. though Rosa did not survive a first hit.
Yeah, well,
Guerin is about to enter that same fight, so we'll see what happens.
yeah, one of the things you think about is, especially for certain boss fights, do you have some of the racial equipment to destroy or just be a complete versus the boss? And Paladin is a dragon. We've picked up any sort of like tiara, which would be the perfect piece of equipment just having for either characters that equip it to survive the attacks. So this crystal ring would be the more universal alternative, but a little higher tier, quite a bit more higher tier than the tiara that just I think is tier.
Oh, and Flossie's through it, and it looks like Guerin will be coming up to the end of this fight as well. We get a wizard hat, so no help there. So yeah, unless Magma Key is behind the Twin Harp, our access is through the hook.
I mean, if you're a runner who just wants to avoid the hook seeds, then your harp is your next destination.
Well, we'll
Doesn't
see what
even
these
matter.
runners do with it. Also gives them a black mage to help with some damage output as well.
That probably doesn't help at the dark elf spot. That spot has the near maximum. Unless you have nuke, Leviathan's close enough. Unless you have nuke, which is a very high level spell for any character.
There's a question. There's a question in the chat. Hook character checks. It was Rydia. A duplicate Rydia sitting at the hook.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I'm wondering if I'm surprised not checking the. It's an interesting buy. If you're going to take on the Castle Eblin chests, because two of the chests have giants in them, Staleman and the Mad Ogres, so that is a worthwhile purchase. The Charm Claws long term don't. Actually, they do have value for the MacGiant grind if one.
You keep cutting out on us there, friend. So you said the Charm Claws would be worthwhile for the MacGiant grind, but then we didn't hear the end of that.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, I think it's worthwhile. If they choose to take that route, I feel like there are probably better grinds. But if you like Twin Harp, then it would probably be worthwhile a grind to take to speed up.
Well, we are going to see the Twin Harp here from Guerin.
I mean,
and from flossiefern, it looks like, with no check on the hook route, just straight on to see if there's something worthwhile behind Twin Harp.
I mean, these are options. I feel like this one-off is kind of unlikely to get you something, but when you're racing and when it comes to a rando,
you throw the dice, you take your chances.
Yeah, and both of them are running the same thing. So we'll look back and and wonder, was this worth it? We'll find out very, very quickly. Rydia does have warp, so this is not. It shouldn't be shouldn't be a bad trek out. Not having exit because not having done Zot kind of reduces the options.
And of course, after the first fight with the Dark Elf, then the Bard will get up and play us a tune on the Twin Harp, and we will, of course, get out of the way and let you all hear what that lovely music is. There's a selection of I believe it's something like 500 tunes that have been transcribed for this beautiful harp, and they are definitely worth a listen. So we will duck out of the way as Flossie and Guerin both attack the Dark Elf, and Flossie decides to kamikaze Yang onto Rosa so that she has a faster time with this first fight. Anyway, we'll turn it over to DJ Spoony B and keep quiet for a moment or two here. Well, isn't that interesting?
I mean, that was it's like the percentage chance, but it is this seed. This seed has.
Inven in chat saying, seed too easy, reroll.
I would have faded that out. I would have done this later, but I mean, hey, this is not the at this point. You know, sometimes when you gamble and you succeeded, great. No magma scissors and whatever is behind door number 2, which was whatever was before that. The King Queen elbow spot being usually one of the toughest parts of the hook seed, completely avoided. So I mean, it is. I mean, when you look like at what you had to gamble, like I mean, I've just recently played a. See at that spot, and so there would have been lots of misery accompanying that.
Flossie's struggling a little more with Mylon than Guerin did, but looking like she'll come through this all right. There we go. And we'll also find her magma seed, and without having to do that hook route and find the duplicate Rydia, will be on her way underground. She's gambled a couple times on Azura and gotten life, I think, just about every time she's thrown it, so that one's not providing her any help either.
I mean, Azura is awesome. 2/3.
67% of the time, it's fantastic to have Azura.
So, following the general meme is that to get your freebies, and so I would have thought go, Fey March to get the freebie, but having the pen in hand, you might as well cash that in immediately.
Yep, get the pan. We'll also probably see these runners check out the Fey March because both the king and the queen in the Town of Monsters are on the to-do list. And we do have to get 6 out of 8 goals, so it would be nice if they could perhaps leave both of those behind, but maybe one of them is free, or both of them are free, or maybe the monsters on the moon will be too much trouble for them. Might have to end up taking those. Be good to know what you're after. What are we getting from the Sylphs today? The pink tail. And we do have the hook already, so that's easy to cash in as well.
I think the worst case scenario for our runners it would be nasty bosses at both spots, and one of them contains that would be the nightmare scenario. So
You cut out at just the perfect spot there, but I'm going to guess what you said. One of them contains the darkness crystal. Was that what you were implying?
It's the darkness crystal. That would be the worst case scenario given the circumstances, and we don't even know what the bosses are.
No, we haven't seen them yet. I'm sure we will, though. I would certainly go and check them. Not necessarily immediately, but this definitely be on the to-do list. Certainly, if either of them are free, like a Water Hag or a King Queen Evelyn, it would be a shame to leave those there. What do we got from Sheila? We got the package. That is a necessary item for one of our things. And the adamant. Well, Sheila, having some value today.
She has all the goods. I think it'd be worth turning the package.
Might as well do it now since you're here. Yeah.
And check. I mean, might not have to pick up the character, but you might as well do the objective right then and there.
Well, and picking up the character isn't a bad idea either. We do, assuming it's a character we can use, we do have an open spot in the party. If it's an edge, perhaps.
Yeah, you want an edge, or definitely Cecil. Definitely.
Oh, especially an edge with the Massamuna behind the pink tail.
I mean, you somehow guessed that at least said it before it came out. So you have some sort of foresight than I do. I don't think I could.
I think you may. That's all right. Sometimes I just get lucky. In fact, most of the time. If I'm right, you can assume I'm lucky. All right, let's see. It's an Edward. Interesting. And even with that, being an objective.
You still gotta do the objective. Maybe save it for later, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I mean, there's still a couple opportunities for characters. The main ones that are still left is Dwarf Castle and whoever's on the moon on. So for now, this is and I think there's a few others I haven't mentioned, but this is probably for now. Edward won't really contribute, and because the spoon actually has. The spoon is going to be that free key item.
We got Flossiefern checking out underground shops, finding Cure 3s, and doing the rounds, it looks like, in the... she might actually crack an egg here. She does have a siren. I missed the free item
in Sand Ruby.
Sand Ruby.
So, character check if you want, but I don't know. I don't feel like you want to go out of your way to do that, but if you really want the character, which this team sort of needs, I mean, you can go either way.
If the character is good, they do end up in Kaipo after doing the package check, so it might be worthwhile just to do one after the other. Flossie is going to crack an egg for us using Leviathan to see if that'll be enough damage to just destroy it outright. And it will.
It's more enough.
34,000 experience straight up. That is a good few levels for our low-level sorcerers. Gets Howlum to Virus and Quake, which is nice.
So remember that discussion talk about cat claws and found the items.
We have a CPU and a Calbrena at King and Queen of Monsters. Interesting.
I think they're free-ish. Levels for the Calbrena. The CPU is just slow and sluggish.
The CPU will take a while. It looks like Guerin is going to follow in Flossiefern's lead and crack an egg. Make some omelets.
Yeah, and got kind of have to at this point. Although we still have options on the table before actually doing this, but probably getting some of the levels out of the way is probably worth doing anyways. We got having the tower key. I may look to do Super Cannon before taking on Fey March, just hoping for the Darkness Crystal to show up there instead.
Yeah, the Super Cannon is an option. There's 2 key items there available as well at the tower. So that is the Tower of Babel, not the Tower of Zot. I was about to say that's also a goal, but it is not. It's the Tower of Zot. They need the Earth Crystal for that, not the Tower Key.
And for Babel from the Super Cannon room and the top usually aren't very threatening. Top of the tower from the underground is just really just and with the very, very fun Super Cannon fight with the lowest HP combined for, well, probably not as low as that's a pretty free fight.
We have Cecil behind the Sand Ruby, and Guerin is going to take him. That fills out the party, and we've got a ton of equipment for Cecil as already. We've been finding it all through the seed. So that may be a very worthwhile choice.
Yeah, that's certainly worth doing. I don't think Flossie has the light sword. I think that was picked up only as one of the pieces of loot. So I don't know what the alternative weapon is, but the Ogre Axe at best, and that's not. I think the light sword is a solid. It's essentially Cane level. It's a Cane level weapon. It's the same attack power as the Dragoon Spear, to be clear. So that's really. So light sword is fine. You can make do in a seed with a light sword.
Oh, we'll see what they decide to do. It comes with a Drain Sword, which is interesting, I suppose. There's also bows as an option. They've got an Ogre Axe. But there's actually, we've been finding a bunch of crystal and there's a samurai armor. Oh, I guess he hasn't kept any of that. He probably when he left Eblon. There's at least 2 crystal gauntlets in there. Flossiefern is also going to be picking up Cecil. Fill out that party.
I mean, the party Yang, though, being the actual tank, gaining the most HP out of all of them. So it's still, you still want some more stability in, at least in your zone. So and with the extra protection of cover, which is always handy. It's hard, especially given the multitude of bosses.
This looks to me to be a vanilla dark imp fight.
Yep, 199 HP each.
Guerin, I think trying to life glitch.
I mean, there is some XP at the spot. You might as well.
Oh yeah, take it where it is. They do know where life potions are, so it's available. Flossiefern turning in her pink tail for a mass immune.
I think we're...
And Cecil gaining 16 levels because he shows up as a powerful level 1.
I mean, 600 HP at level 1 is a lot. You have to believe that.
I'm 42 years old. I don't think I have 600 HP yet.
Let's see. I think our runners for the most part are just one per key items, but just one key item.
Yes, I was just doing that count myself. I think there's 9 key items lit up on Guerin's side. At 10 key items, of course, they start picking up double experience. So we'll see if they can find that 10th one. Perhaps it will come from destroying the super cannon, which Guerin has done. But he's going up to the top of the tower to see what's there, too. Because that also can be a key item. We are still looking for a darkness crystal, an earth crystal to complete the Tower of Zot. We have the package. No one's actually burned the town yet, but we do have the package.
Well, there was a burning of the town, but that was on reset, so it happened.
Just not in this timeline. We got Rubicant sitting at the top of the tower.
Yeah, this is not...
Flossie is throwing some black mages at the the town.
And the rule.
They are some very angry black mages, jealous of the summoners, I would imagine.
I mean, both of them have a lot of wisdom to power them.
And we're going to see what sort of titan that Edward can call up with his music. Meanwhile, Guerin has decided to take on Rubicant. And is doing a fair bit of damage.
Ruby at the spot, at least for the runners, is that with the spell power, the spell multiplier essentially being pretty weak, can actually survive Glare.
Yeah, Glare doing less than 1,000 points of damage is actually a bit of a surprise to me, but...
I mean, this has a spell power slightly above, 60, so... And I think the spot has spell multiplier too, so it's pretty easy. It's kind of relatively easy for a mage to avoid at least one of the multipliers. So they can survive on.
Flossiefern drawing first metaphorical blood here as completing the first goal of burning the Mist Village, and heading down. It looks like to try out. To see who's behind the throne in the Dwarf Kingdom.
Back-to-back boss with a character check in between. It's an interesting.
Top of tower just has a dragoon spear, so nothing particularly fancy there. I'm sorry if I keep cutting you off, friend. You keep cutting out.
Oh, that's fine. If only there were a cane.
Well, maybe there still is one. We will see who's behind the throne here. Looks like the Baron Guards, I think, as our first boss, anyway.
Well, it's either Baron or Kaipo. Depends on how many show up.
It's true. Two Baron Guards, or it's the Kaipo Guards because there's 4 of them.
Just for note, the number of sprites does matter, and it has been. I think. And whoever manages the sprite locations, they have tweaked the positions of things to make it kind of line up nicely for a visual effect.
This should pose no particular problem for Flossiefern, I would think, though they are going to be a little more powerful than if you fought them at Kaipo. Guerin completing the tower, and we will see what he gets. The Earth Crystal, hello! That will send us to the Tower of Zot, and it looks like Guerin is going there immediately.
Yeah, I mean, while Cecil does have access to exit, probably not quite yet, needs probably getting Rosa unlocked is nice, and probably worth, well, I'm trying to think, is it worth looting the treasury at this point? Especially given that in this flag set, the cap max tier is at...
The cap max tier is where? I'm sorry, you cut out again.
Sorry, the cap of the max tier is 6. So that means no super holy blades for Cecil to swing with.
Well, Guerin's going to take a chance and take a peek at the treasury. We'll see if there's anything worthwhile down there. Meanwhile, Flossiefern is taking on Mumbomb. Chat is telling you max tier is 7.
Oh,
seeing protect rings or full moons.
But I think 8 is where the holy blades are. Unfortunately, we're talking about Excal and Crystal Sword.
Still, there looked like there was some nice stuff in there. A couple of defensive items, protect ring, strength ring, that sort of thing.
So rings over 10 is this.
And off they go to the Tower of Zot. Meanwhile, Flossiefern has reached the angry phase of Mumbomb.
The angry phase of Mumbomb, you have to shoot through about 9,000, a little over north of 9,000 HP. If you're too slow, yeah, that's too slow.
There's the explosion, yeah. And now we've got the multiple phase of Mumbomb. With Leviathan and Quake, this should not be a challenge.
I mean,
Leviathan did only target one of them.
Yeah, that is a consequence of how targeting works in Final Fantasy IV. Even though it targets everyone, it only targeted one character. That's the problem. When you do Leviathan in Quake, you want to actually, if you don't think you can make it, just let it explode and then target them when they are in their bomb forms, not before.
It doesn't look like it made too much of a difference. It was perhaps a little slow. Guerin finding Dark Knight Cecil at the Magus Sisters' normal hanging out grounds. And should be pretty clear. Not doing a whole heck of a lot of damage. Under 200 to all targets. So yeah, a couple heals. Won't even lose anyone.
I'm thinking it's just easier to punch DKC outright. I don't know. I feel like it'd be faster, but I don't know. I think it could just be equally as.
But we have to find out that justice is not the only right in the world. How else are we going to do that?
I mean,
and Luca is wearing what around her neck? The Baron key. That puts both our runners at 10 key items, so they will be earning double experience.
Because I believe Guerin's Rosa has the Heron Robe, and Heron Robe, one of the biggest things it does is it makes mages more utility than actual mage. It's -15 with both wisdom and will, does quite a bit of a number. You can see the numbers don't lie. That how much of a difference it makes. It makes strong level healing or even Blarg much.
We're seeing Flossie head into Eblin Cave, probably, I would imagine, for a character check.
It is.
Or, as
Hoping.
Lex Luthor Vandross is suggesting in chat, random encounters in Eblin, possibly the trap chest in here too, the Staleman chest. We see Kane and Sid at the top of the tower, so Vanilla Kane. And Sid about to be crushed by a giant ball, but saved at the last minute by Yang.
There might be a reason to take Kane, but if you're not taking Kane, you're definitely not taking Sid. It's the only reason to take Kane is you don't think Rhea will reach nuke, and that would.
Flossiefern did a character check and exited out, and we've got free King and Queen Eblin at the top of the Tower of Zot. So this will bring Guerin into his first objective, defeating the Tower of Zot, and will give his Rosa some exit power.
This nice free fight at the top of the tower. It's kind of both King Queen Evelyn doesn't have any spell power, although they don't. But Valspot has immense amount of spell power. Actually, it's actually can be scary if normal mages mage boss shows up here.
Fortunately, they don't seem to do much other than a little bit of fire magic, and away we go.
Baron weapon armor shop having the gold mine of armor. Still very good armor for a mage. I mean, get the massive evasion stat. Without, we'll see a turn in.
Right, and Flossiefern headed into Baron Castle. Interesting. I mean, we've got two options, the Baron Key and the Tower Key. We know the Tower Key has value, but Flossie doesn't. So we'll see what's behind Baron. It could be any number of things. It could be our Darkness Crystal, which is hard required for this seed. Oh, no, never mind. It's the Rat Tail. It has the Darkness Crystal. I don't know why I say anything.
You spoke it into existence. How dare you?
Well, unfortunately, we know then that Flossiefern is basically barking up the wrong tree here. There's not much that can be there. That would, I mean, there's a lot of items that could help out, but there's no progression here.
I mean, the only saver, like if anything, if the pass is here, and that's about it. That would be the only saving grace, and but I don't think that will make the difference. I mean, Guerin has a head start regardless, and if the pass shows up on his way, that will kind of be devastating. But I still think,
Lex Luthor Vandross pointing out that it could also be the Legend Sword here, which we do have the Adamant, I think, which would give us objective number 1.
Yeah, you have three objectives on the moon to complete.
Yeah, Darkness Crystal is hard required. There's no question. We do have to get up there to take out at least one of those altars, but it could be better to be able to fade 2 of them if we can get all the rest of the quests done. Or finding the Legend Sword could allow them to fade the King and Queen at the Town of Monsters.
I mean, it's either the moon is haunted or Fade March. You can't actually do, you can.
Well, Guerin looks like he's going back down to the Town of Monsters to see what's happening. Probably going to take on that King and Queen. And we have a Lunar Sparkle on the throne at Baron, turning into Plague.
A very free fight at this point. Even with even with the minimal leveling that has been done, probably should be able to take care of the Kinazo spot. At this point, doesn't have a lot of HP, relatively speaking.
And even then, Flossiefern managed to get a Star Veil off on Yang, so Plague is the one who's counting down on himself, and with Yang not being counted, Plague is just going to keep throwing count back on the party over and over and over again to restart that timer. So this is a free fight.
I don't think the safety is needed. Though it is a valid strat, but I don't think the safety is needed. Given the fight itself shouldn't be too bad, and yeah.
And it's over. Okay, Guerin taking on Calbrena for the rulership of the town of monsters. And okay, I was going to say forgetting to heal, but no, that's right. Cecil is here with cover strats. That's actually a very potentially powerful decision.
Should be able to wash them all away. I don't, unless there's not enough damage to the cows. I think we're fine.
Quorum behind the throne. Guerin takes out the Brenas, and we'll see if the Quake is good enough for the cows, and it is, and that takes out the King of Monsters, giving Guerin his second objective complete.
I mean, we're gonna get objectives in clumps, so this is
and
fine.
And then there's a white spear. So Kane at the top of Tower of Zot. There's a weapon form there. Has decided not to take on the CPU. We got an Aegis shield behind the Baron Throne, so not a lot of great use there.
This is an interesting decision by Guerin. There's two ways to think about it. You know the CPU fight is slow. You know you're gonna do the moon, get the 3 objectives there, and then So that was the decision to be made. So we're going to finish up on the moon and then just go to Z. That's what it is.
I think so, especially coming back here to burn the village mist. So next he'll head over to raise the big whale and see about taking care of those 3 altars on the moon.
The only concern is if there are nasty bosses.
Well, I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out if there's anything really nasty up in the heavens or not. Flossiefern, meanwhile, taking on the Tower of Babel, going to clear out the super cannon and take on Rubicant at the top, who decided not to leave a lieutenant in charge this time, but instead to take matters into his own hands and do the dancing himself.
Gotta have at least a few scoops of, at least a 3 scoop of vanilla ice cream.
With Flossie using Odin on the Dark Imps, which does not work. And frankly, to me, seems to be a bit of overkill, but, each to their own.
Iris would be done with it. Unless Rydia had the Harem Hope, it's kind of unlikely that that would be not enough. Odin be when it does work.
Looks like Guerin may be coming back to check out what's behind. Oh, Guerin does not have the Baron key. Guerin has not done the Dwarf Kingdom yet.
Kind of looking for something, definitely some equipment juggling. Not entirely sure, and doing the for the MacGiant grind. That's what Guerin's going on.
That makes sense, yes. So Guerin is going to be looking for a fight here, a random encounter to see where he is on a step count. to see where he might find an alert monster with the MacGiants in the Giant of Babel.
This is the step count is kind of a classic Final Fantasy 1. Yes, back in the original game, the step count was a thing. If you've ever Final Fantasy 1 rando and wonder why there's some resets going on after walking a few steps and then having encounter, this is the thing that's going on. That's what's going on here.
Now we're seeing a giant monster which Guerin has summoned specifically for the purpose of gaining levels. A world-ending apocalypse for the purpose of a couple people getting stronger. I'm not sure I'm ethically on board with this decision.
It's fine. Once the Punch Mage reaches 6,000 HP, all is well. But it's less likely the Punch Mage will get that to the level, although we just need quite a bit to reach that specific to reach 1 million XP, which is where level 50 is at.
But we found the searcher, but will the searcher be the right searcher? We're doing some setup here, a little bit of cover, a little bit of blink. A Thorage for the single damage. And there is our MacGiant. Flossiefern, meanwhile, taking on Rubicant at the top of the Tower of Babel.
The Silk Web is used here. It's persistent between revival and death. It does affect you just as low. So the MacGiant will be less punchy because of it. Not that it won't punch, it just won't punch as frequent as you would normally see it.
So the MacGiant will remain slowed by the Silk Web even though it has been killed. Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's the reason to do it. That's it. Not it. I mean, it also slows down the searcher from its and frankly, it doesn't make a difference. And it only reacts to when you do damage to it, for the summoning. So pretty much controlled.
The less often we have to see that searching dialogue, the faster everything else goes.
Yeah, it's one less delay. So this is also a reason to carry some more from some Silk Webs. I like carrying like a 3, but because everything's going too fast.
And in case anyone viewing it does not know, we're also seeing some life glitching happen. What happens is when you use the Life 1 spell or a life potion, the game revives a character based on their vitality stat, giving them, I think it's 5 hit points times their vitality, which is a lovely thing. All monsters have 0 vitality, so when you revive them, they don't even get a chance to come back on the screen. They just immediately die a second time, giving you double the experience and gold for that one target.
Well, more accurately, just another kill on count kills for the price of 1. When you it's the best glitch. It's a nice feature. I just love using it.
Flossiefern taking the Earth Crystal to go and possibly check the treasury. Yep, she's going to check the treasury just as Guerin did.
We'll probably find full rings. Not the rings of power, although there are pair strength rings.
And there's some crystal armor for Cecil too, if you don't mind him not being able to be a berserk.
You can still get berserk on Cecil, but that requires an Avenger, as Avenger berserk protection.
Tall Grant is asking about a Tolkien reference, and I don't know if he's aware of a reference. Do we have a second reference? Elevensies?
I wish I did. I only use the reference because and it's an Amazon thing, so it's somehow connects. Not that we're endorsing it. It just is what it is.
Guerin has taken out the Searcher and is finishing off one last MacGiant and getting a little bit of a life glitch on the Searcher as well, while flossiefern is headed to the Tower of Zot.
So, yeah, having an easy time on the seeing so much damage, and all you need to expose is their machines and that they're giants. So you just need an Ogre X, Charm Claw, or Thunder Claw, and Charm Arrows. Those are, and which pretty much is the bulk of what of the setup just for that fight.
It took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that MacGiant, the Mac was machine, it wasn't that they were Scottish. Oh, and they got a poison axe for the fight. Isn't that lovely?
I mean, why not? They drop all the axes you ever want. Ogre, I think, is the more common one. I think so. It's they love sharp objects, large sharp objects.
And the Tolkien references are coming fast and furious in the chat. No one has pointed out for the fact that between Zot and Babel, we have 2 towers.
Does that mean I have to watch the whole trilogy?
I mean, we don't have time for it now on this stream.
Maybe some other time.
That's a good 9 hours, unless you're watching the extended cuts, in which case, call in sick that day. Flossie is finding out that justice is not the only right in this world. And Guerin is finding on the moon... Drumroll, please. A duplicate Rosa.
Yes, yes. Give me Moon Rosa when Hobbs Rosa is much better, and probably a rocky experience.
Sorry. The musical spirit overtook me. I mean, the next line to that would be wider than a mile, and I think Rosa would object to that characterization, and it's not accurate anyway.
I find that's probably the disappointing part.
And Flossie's going to find her cane and a mum bomb at the top of handing over the Crystal of Earth to a electric mum bomb.
So right now, outside of Guerin having a bad day with Z, this is it's pretty much shouldn't have any problems. Just taking on the 3 bosses at the spots he needs to complete the objectives. I don't think Flossie's stumbled onto a pass, which kind of would have helped if had any of that she has done and Guerin hasn't would have provided.
I'm not sure even that the pass would be that much use, as at this point they have to go to the lunar subterrane anyway. So having the pass means having to leave and come back, or having leave and come back to Earth and go to Toroya. So we've got the Baron guards, which are not immune to being turned to stone at the Murasama altar.
Yeah, it's kind of nice when you have bosses that are really just normal enemies, which the Baron guards are. There are some bosses that have the boss bit. A lot just generally happens to be regular enemies, but there are a number of bosses like the Kaipo guards, dark imps, obviously. Fabul Gauntlet, if they were the normal version, not the Alt Gauntlet, although there are some variants of the Alt Gauntlet that are very vulnerable to stone. So
Flossie taking out the king and queen at the top of the tower, which will earn her Rosa exit and will get her her second objective complete. And Guerin has 4 out of those 6 goals, and we're probably looking for the crystal sword, and then the ribbon, and then a track down to Zeromus.
There's a fair chance Guerin will just, after maybe like probably doing the ribbon room last, we'll just do the trek immediately. I mean, if you're a runner, probably it's one of those times. Your last objective, get the crystal. Afterward, immediately go down. Don't even bother saving, even though the ribbon room is not too far away from the save point.
I don't know. I'd take the save. It's just my cowardly nature, among other things. Flossie getting a rat tail and going to turn it in and find the darkness crystal behind it, and probably, I would imagine, well, might head straight for the moon. We'll see. She still needs even taking the three altars on the moon will not complete her 6 goals. She needs 1 more goal somewhere.
Probably will make the same decision. I think Flossie has visited, so probably will also make the same decision to take on the king side with the Calbranda dolls.
There's a question in chat. What's an unsafe Z? I would argue that all Zs are unsafe. Just the nature of the game. What do we have at the Crystal Sword altar? Kainatsu. This is
fine. This is fine.
This is fine?
The Wyvern spot.
Yeah, this is Wyvern, so...
Yeah. Doesn't actually have as much HP relative to the... I mean, Plague is probably next to it, but Wyvern isn't the same threat you think. I mean, I would be... at the Dean Lunar spot, the ribbon room. So I would... This is fine. We'll be fine.
We do have to watch for that wave because it's based on Kainatsu's hit points. So getting those hit points down as quick as possible is important, as well as breaking the wave when possible. But otherwise, the hit points that that Guerin's team has looks pretty solid. That was a pretty hefty hit, and Rosa just shrugs it off more or less.
I think if there was ever an unsaved Z is when your HP is overall not for I'd say under leveled. We're talking like 40s, like around 40, 45. Those are kind of can be risky, especially for mages who typically don't have Z friendly HPs to take full damage Big Bang.
Now, Flossie has headed straight up to the moon and is going to find a duplicate Rosa. Crossing her in style. Crystal shield for Guerin. And of course, another objective complete, which leaves only 1 more. Do you think Guerin is going to forge the legend sword with the adamant, or defeat the queen of the town of monsters, or will he just go and defeat the vanilla ribbon room, which I think is probably the most likely. Oh, Flossie's headed back to the blue planet.
I mean, I know it's a rhetorical question, but the obvious answer is has not received the pass, so there's no reason to come back into the LST a second time.
Now, if the pass was behind the ribbon room, even then.
I think it's really just hoping, probably still worth looting chest, hoping for a crystal sword, especially because these are key item areas. So those treasure chests can have the candy these silver ones.
Flossiefern is setting up her own MacGiant grind, and we see Odin at the ribbon room. This could be... Oh, there's silk webs. That'd make it a little bit easier, but it could be an interesting fight. I don't know how fast lunar dragons are, so...
It's about the same speed as all the other bosses, so if you have nuke, so for the most part, I would almost try if it was Plague, just with more HP at the spot, and given that they have their ultimate spells, like the double nuke, and white if you once you get the Zerkers up, you're just extra icing on this cake.
Flossie looking for, or running out her step counter to get to the MacGiants, and Odin defeated, which will give Guerin the final of 6 goals required. Do you check the treasure chest, Deathlake?
Yes. You gotta find the gear for Cecil, even if it's like a better weapon for Cecil.
There's the legend sword. We can go and complete objective number 1 now.
Too late, and we beat the bar ages ago. from Edward was from the package. That's we beat it.
Yeah, we haven't actually. We never actually picked up Edward. He's still sitting unconscious in the party. He's in the bag somewhere. Flossiefern having trouble finding the fight that she wanted until she's got it. Now she's headed to the giant now to do her own MacGiant grind, I would imagine.
Yeah, usually a safe thing to do. At this point, knowing what we know, this grind go to Z. So yeah, it is what it is.
Guerin taken some time to make sure he's properly equipped. Slowed down the game speed, or the battle speed, I suppose. One does not take chances with Z.
Well, slowing down the battle speed in this instance, look, I mean, you have 2 black wizards with nuke, and you have Rosa with white. You with Cecil having a terrible weapon, you might as go full reflex strats here. And that's what Guerin's plan's going to be. Although I think it's the time of the seed where these flags magically appeared to remind us something about the 26th letter of the alphabet.
Yes, Zeromus is far too dangerous to be randomized into the pool of random bosses elsewhere in the game, so we leave him right in place and instead we randomize the sprite that he is made of. We have, I think there's 600 of those, plus change floating around out there in the ether, and so we have to ask the eternal question. Deathlake, would you do the honors?
Whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
And we will find that out momentarily when Guerin uses the crystal and starts this final fight.
I prefer asking the other questions, like, is butt cute?
Well, I think the cuteness of butt is in the eye of the beholder.
But I think I'm trying to remember the words of this cartoon character. He drew her. That's something like that. I think.
And here's the pitch. Cecil with the crystal. His true colors emerge. And we see that. I don't know what that is. I haven't a clue.
I mean,
it looks threatening. I don't know. It just looks really threatening. I just have no idea what that is.
Dragon, probably series game, Dragon Quest or something. I don't know.
We're hearing Lufia 2 in the chat, which is interesting because I've completed Lufia 2 and I do not remember anything that looks like that.
I would just say condition, probably a Scala production most likely. I there are a lot of dragons in Lufia too. Having at least played enough, at least enough in a sense.
And we are seeing Guerin go full on reflex strats even before that first big bang comes out. Zeromus is a technological wonder, has more hit points than it is possible to put into a variable of that size. So what they do is when he takes something like 40,000 damage, they just behind the scenes refill his hit points. That's cool. But if that counts as a reaction, and when you reflect a spell onto a target, the target does not get a reaction. Therefore, Zeromus will never refill his hit points if all Guerin does is reflect spells at him.
Yeah, it's half of the HP that you have to get through when you do reflex strats. You can how you get there doing some but reflecting spells is mostly what you're gonna do, and ideally with nuke, because who doesn't like nuking the food to get the food that's in front of you?
And it looks like it's not going to take very long at all. Here comes the big bang. It was nerfed by a silk web, so when Zeromus counters with a nuke, he reduces his own magic power, and that doesn't come back up when he does that first big bang. The timing is a little trickier on later ones, but that first one, you can nerf it at any time, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, the first one, the highest damage that big bang does, 100. That's a capped at 2400 minus all the magic defenses, magic evasion that can be applied. It can actually be higher than that at 2700 if you decide to. You want to play with Z with summons. Bad things happen at certain times, but nerfing it reduces it.
And
yeah, there we're
Guerin has done. Zeromus is sinking into the ether. Good game, Guerin. Well done. 125-38. Excellently run seed.
Yes, a very efficient seed. I mean, and that is typical.
The flossiefern doing her MacGiant grind. We'll see how this goes for her.
Still worth probably worth completing the seed until it's great that Flossie is still continuing. Sooner or later, whether she finishes the seed or not.
It sounds like Guerin will be joining us. Should be lovely. Be nice to have a chat. Guerin and I have commentated a couple of these seeds together. It's been a lot of fun, so it'd be nice to chat with him about it. He's mostly kept me straight when I've said things that were blatantly wrong. So, speaking of which, I think I heard the Discord ding, which tells us that we have a guest. Is that Guerin there on the line?
Yes, Guerin, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
All right.
Well done. Good game. Nice to watch.
Thank you. I was very nervous in the beginning there.
What got you so nervous?
Let's see, bouncing off Paladin, sitting through the Ashura, only to realize, yeah, saving the Leviathan for Fight 2 wasn't going to work.
That still went pretty well for you, though.
Yep, that was a very long Ashura fight.
You definitely held your feet to the fire on that life lock.
Well, if you miss it, it's a lot of healing over there. It's like, I don't really have a lot of power to get through this.
Was there a moment that you would thought that having consumed some of the star veils for the Bahamut fight, go looking for some star veil replacements?
I knew I'd have to find replacements somewhere from underground, but I figured, what are the odds of getting them all in the overworld? Well, a little bit lucky that Yang was able to go first and that Golbez targeted Rydia, so it's like, thank you. That's very nice.
I mean, you had back-to-back Jura and two usual consume.
I think you cut out there on us, Deathleg.
Oh, so yeah, basically two bosses back-to-back with that would completely consume that usually consume star veils.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Sure, I only had one left, and it's like I already used it on the earlier Bahamut, so it's like, okay.
Any other anything you feel you've went especially well for you? Anything you feel went especially badly for you?
I think that grind was picture perfect. I looked at the levels there. It's like, okay, Rydia 50, Palom 53. Could have done that much better than I did. I fear it was probably good to get them to nuke before I went to the moon, just because they had no caster gear really to help them out. So it's like, don't want to really chase it on levels or not have the powerful spells. I was really feeling good when I saw that Magma key in the harp. It's like, okay, harp was really, really worth it. Because that hook route, it's like, you guys gonna grind Palom to Quake, gonna be a bit long. You had sisters there, who knows what was in slot 1. I realized, oh, now I have to do it. And I've never been happier to do a Zot and avoid a CPU.
We were definitely having a discussion as to whether or not you two would be fading the Harper, or if you would be hoping it would have the magma key behind it.
Do we both make the same choice?
You did.
Okay, that's good to know. It was really the easier way through.
Certainly looked it.
Yeah, I had one other question on my mind and it slipped by me. Was there some thought to taking on slower?
We lost you again, friend. There, we lost you a bit.
Yeah, sorry, you cut out. I didn't hear the question.
Was there some thought of taking on the CPU at all?
Well, I mean, if I had gotten the Darkest Crystal before I got the Earth Crystal, sure, because that's go mode. It's like, it's gonna stink, but I'll do it. Once I had the other objective, it's like, I don't have to do it. I'm not.
Yeah, we were definitely discussing all the possible ways that this seed could have turned really nasty, and didn't seem to particularly be too bad.
No, really, most of the nastiness was on the overworld. Once it was underground, it's like, wasn't really all that bad, I thought, anywhere. I mean, Albreno dolls for the king spot is very generous, considering what can be there at times. Let's see, the Baron guards and the Murasame altar, that's pretty nice. Let's see what else was there. All right, Kainazo, it's not the worst, but it's not the worst spot for it. And then Odin at the ribbon spot, it's like, well, Thunderclaw Yang, and 2 nuke casters, that's not going to last. I mean, very, very generous moon altogether. So, I mean, it's nice to see that occasionally.
Yeah, it certainly seemed to treat you all right anyway. And you certainly provided us a definitely good look on, like, some interesting strats, some things that are probably pretty important to know. The life lock on Azura, the MacGiant grind, textbook stuff. Really well executed.
I was debating whether I should do MacGiants, just race the moon, open some boxes up there. I figured, you know what? It's not going to be a long grind, just 6 or 7 giants, because I already had 10 key items. Just do the safe thing that's like, it's probably better than having the moon, than getting something nasty up there, or split XP, or whatever else can happen up there.
Yep, certainly looked, but it was quite smooth. Very well done.
Thank you.
Just had one last question. Having run enough of these seeds, were you disappointed, or what you saw of the treasury? That what you saw this seed?
Okay, well, I mean, it wasn't a great treasury, but I mean, Tiara at least is a bailout for Rydia. I mean, Assassin Dagger, I could have used that if I needed to do some agility manip. It's not a great one, but it's like, it had at least a couple things to make it worth taking the trip.
Yeah, I thought it felt really disappointing. You didn't get like not even a stat stick, like a life staff, silent staff, stardust rod, charm rod, just something for your mate.
Yeah, I think I had a change rod for Iridian. I think it was about it. I saw Lilith rods. It's like, I don't need to buy. So I'm gonna find something better than this, right? Nope. As it turns out, it's like I looked at my box count, only at 64, even with the treasury. So it's like that heroine robe was a very lifesaver pull after the hook route.
Well, any final thoughts on your part, Guerin?
No, thanks guys for running the restream and doing the commentary. I'm sure I'll watch it back, and hopefully I have a good time watching it back and listening to. I'm sure it's a great commentary, and thanks again to everyone on the team and Flossie for a good race, and yeah, thanks.
You've been commentating with me before. You know very well that it's not good commentary if I'm here. It's a mild disaster at the best.
Look, I was trying to help you out, man. You don't have to do. Take the freebie when you get it.
Well, thank you for running. We wouldn't have anything to commentate if you guys weren't running, so very much appreciated.
All right, thanks. Have a good evening, guys. See you next time.
Yeah, take care. We'll see you soon.
GG's again, Guerin.
And Flossie, back to flossiefern. She has taken out both King and Queen and the Town of Monsters, putting on a real show against the CPU and heading up now to the moon to finish off this seed.
Trying to figure out which two bosses would be the most efficient for routing. I'm starting to
Well,
the sorted ribbon.
Knowing what we know Murasame will be fast because it's the Baron Guards. But that's just knowing what we know. Crystal Sword is kind of on the way to the Ribbon Room. Ribbon Room is I would think the fastest one on the way down, or it's on the way is the big deal. So knowing what we know, I would think Murasame and Ribbon would be the fastest, but
it's like a kind of a toss up, I think. This based on the difficulty of the bosses and the kind of the out of the way.
We'll see what Flossie decides to do. With the Crystal Sword being kind of on the way, then we'll see what. Oh no, she's decided to go towards the Murasame altar.
Yeah, I do like the Mur side better, only because you just exit on your way on just walk, just do a standard walk. I don't know. It's like nice, sort of.
I think it's just more a matter of taste. So
for sure.
Yeah. So here comes the Baron Guards, which Flossie should have no trouble with. Or I shouldn't say such things.
It can be. I mean, if you wanted to show off Odin again, it would be a good time as any to do it. But you know, it's fine. Mute.
She has decided to mute them. Yep. And Toad them apparently.
Well, I mean, Toad is actually more reliable than Stone. I'm trying to remember Stone's accuracy, like 30, or adding accuracy from Wisdom. Toad has a base accuracy of 50, so and usually reasonable enough to get that applied and
turn them into frog princes here.
Yeah, you know, I think seeing a number of these races, I don't know. I'm surprised that sometimes the spots that at least I would look to be as the spicy spots, you know, like back row, like back attack, Mount Ordeals, or hook route. Those are typically spicy, but you know, I think maybe it's just my luck, but this is like this one I've commentated where Pale Dim was at karate and just giving runners a hard time.
We're down to one objective left for flossiefern, and she's going to walk back up
I mean, there is a time for the all the other. We need to do second walk-in because the maybe 15. I don't. At least
Having
minimum
go
of
through
15 seconds.
the crystal cutscene, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is quite long. So, and that's on top of exit if you go on that route. So yeah, that probably worth the.
Guerin in chat talking about the forge, having reloaded the seed afterwards to go and look at the forge. Apparently, the forge and Coco's shop were both disappointing.
Claws, because Yang is the hero. That is Supersmith by default. Will forge a super weapon. The advanced port. The claws. There's only a number of claws. I think 2 of them holy elemental. 1 just applies paralysis. They're not exciting. And the shop, unless it sells sirens, usually is kind of is generally disappointing because of S Pro affecting the tier of items sold at that spot.
We got Flossie at the last save point. No doubt she's going to go and take on the Vanilla Ribbon Room, find Odin there, and show him what real fighting looks like.
Go white because those you gotta nuke something. I think those were the words. Gotta nuke something.
And nuke Odin we shall.
So, just worth pointing out that Odin is extra weak to thunder. So that's why Yang is making it look so easy. It's like Nuke is not doing enough damage. Let me just punch him with a thunder claw. That does all the work.
And up comes Odin's sword. And down goes Odin. Yang just saying, "No, you will not threaten me with that sword. I'm just going to punch you until you stop moving." Flossiefern getting her crystal.
She's gonna loot those chests because hoping for a sword, and we know it's not gonna provide.
There's a perfectly good Cecil sword right there in the legend. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, 40 attack might of a holy paladin. That's gonna move mountains. Except it's half. I think it's half as strong as the Ogre Axe, so that's kind of the problem.
But it's legendary.
It has a Mysidian legend etched on it. That's all we're good for.
All right, and a final set of equipment here.
I didn't see the agility stat. I'm sure trying to rig it in such a way that it falls in a perfect value, but because I will really try to give maybe Cecil, or maybe one of the mages enough agility. Although probably the mages probably not be enough if Yang has a pair of cat claws.
Well, we'll see how it goes. As ever, the Zeromus fight is always a little bit dangerous, even if you're going in at high power with high strength. I've seen some seeds turn really nasty at Z, just by virtue of bad luck.
Yeah, it doesn't take much for a big bang into rocks to have an unfortunate ending to it.
So here we go. Once more, we will be seeing the product of Zemus's hatred turned into a mysterious super boss dragon from Lufia 2.
You know, they have tons of dragons in Lufia too. They have a ton. This game has a ton of dragons.
Dragons are a pretty typical fantasy enemy.
I mean, they have a series that has its name on it, so I mean, hard to argue.
And this time we see Yang delivering that fatal crystal shot that will transform, which shows Zeromus' true colors.
Worth pointing about in the first form Z Shake, those prevent like spells like haste, fast and slow being applied onto yourself. There's no reason to cast slow on yourselves, but to
those
boost your
shakes,
speeds.
Yeah, those shakes do remove all magic effects. Berserk if you cast it, haste, slow, anything like that from the party. Dragomus is being silkwebbed. Rydia has a reflect on. Oh, and what a lovely target that was. Yang is berserked. We're going to watch flossiefern just take this Dragomus apart.
Get a few shots. Once you get closer to the after dealing for over 40,000 damage, you stop doing regular punches.
Well, that will be tricky with Yang being berserked.
You can hope for a hybrid. Like, you can time it in such a way that if you deal enough damage, that it'll just be one punch away from not triggering the refill. So you can the very last hit. So
Lex Luthor Vandross pointing out that perhaps counting on Black Hole to remove the berserk from Yang.
I think Black Hole is a bit later in the sequence. I think at the rate this is going, I don't think it'll get that far. But I mean, you're doing quite a bit of damage, so not likely to happen.
Well, we'll see how this goes. Here comes another nuke. Cure 3 potion to keep Rydia alive. There's the shake. And that shake indicates that Dragomus is preparing a big bang. And this is where you'd want to hit with an unreflected spell so that it triggers the nuke, which lowers Dragomus's magic power, because that's how the game works.
It's harder to do in these after the first Big Bang because there's a small window when it shakes to inform you Big Bang is coming, and for you to try to get a direct spell cast in to trigger the Big Bang nerf. It can be tricky. It's easy when you have Zerker. What is said is to clog the queue, to slow down, to kind of widen the window a little bit, to slow down the speed at which Z gets his net.
But regardless of that, yeah, flossiefern takes an unrestrained Big Bang and just walks it off. Just going for heal strats, getting everyone back on their feet.
Should be fine. Worst Rydia is going to be sacrificed. Although the Star Veil usually reasonably long enough, much longer than a regular wall. That is worth pointing out.
But it still won't hold up if Dragomus decides to use a Black Hole. Oh, I thought that shake might have been the finish of things. No, it's just a setup for the next Big Bang.
No, it's always a setup for the next Big Bang. Though when it shakes twice, it means that we've hit the HP reset button.
I'm guessing the wall fell at just the wrong moment there.
I mean, it can't be a wipe because Yang will have enough HP. It's right, Yang and Cecil, but as long as Rosa's up, we'll be fine.
Rosa was ready with the Cure 4, so. And again, just sort of shaking those off. We're going to switch over to reflecting things off Palom now.
Rose, they'll probably use a chance to get the life and the.
Oh, there goes the black hole. Magics became invalid, so Young will stop punching. Well, after one more punch.
Yeah, he's still queued. When you're still queued, you're still punching, but you just won't have the benefit of the berserk. You get 50% attack power, which is pretty significant when you especially with the attack power at this part of the game.
And Zeromus now using direct cast nukes.
Yeah, it's part of the script. I think nuke and virus is typically what he does on his own outside of black hole.
Yeah, I believe that nukes indicate that we are in the 3rd phase of this fight out of 4, and Meteor indicates the last. I think nuke is the 3rd phase, but someone will correct me if I'm wrong. I know virus is in there as well. And I know he has a variety of responses to when you hit him with things that, he might not want to get hit with. Here comes a shake for...
I kind of feel the set, but no. Yeah, usually be double shake. No. Although you can also, if you play Z enough, you get a feel for when there's it and that signifies the HP refill, which there I think in later Final Fantasy IV revisions if I recall correctly.
In later revisions, you cut out, friend. Later revisions, I would imagine they just use a bigger variable and can just fill it with 120,000 hit points. Yes.
No, they revise it there. They just but they do like a more visible healing. I think. I have to remember. It has to be the Pixel remaster. I could be wrong.
The only revision of the game... Oh, we've got rocks. We've got rocks, which means we're in the last 12,000 hit points, I think. The only revision of the game I've played is the one that showed up on the PlayStation, so...
Just the PlayStation? The PS1?
That's the one. I do have the Pixel remaster. It is currently on loan to my father. So... And Zeromus is down. Good game, flossiefern. Well done.
GG's for Flossie to sticking this out.
An excellent show.
Yep. Still went through the whole ordeal. At least didn't go too badly here.
No, just a couple of. It's easy to say they're incorrect choices in the light of hindsight, but they weren't wrong in the moment. Just ended up being not the way forward.
Yeah, oftentimes just one decision over another, and the things that happen as a result of that. And so there is no wrong answer. There's just one decision made differently from another, and that sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, and in this case, one of the things that made the difference was the decision to head into Baron Castle, and that was, like I said, not a bad decision given the information that Flossie had at the time. It's easy to say now, to look back on it now and say, it wasn't the right decision, but it wasn't a bad call at the time. So, and that's the nature of the randomizer. You make your decisions, and you go with them, and you live with what comes out the other end. So, I don't know if we're going to be seeing Flossie for an interview after this.
I believe we are going to be we will moving to Tolerant, and there will be that will be airing soon.
I'm sorry, I missed part of that.
Sorry,
You're still cutting out.
Sorry. There certainly still more races tomorrow, and I think we're rating.
I am looking for information right now.
While we're waiting for more information, please check out the Discord where all the fun and the shenanigans happen. All the fun things happen. We open community. We're very welcoming. And if you have questions, rando and Final Fantasy War and other related things, we certainly love to talk to you guys about it.
Absolutely, and do remember to follow the channel and follow the racers. They put on a heck of a show tonight, and will continue to do so. There are at least 2 free enterprise channels that exist to follow. Well worth following them. That's how you'll find us.
Yep, and thanks to everyone involved in this production. Our restreamer, Radio Caller, and Ryudo, who's doing the track, and my co-commentator, Organ Mike.
Always a pleasure. And to you as well, Deathlake, thank you very much. And yeah, to the runners, Restream team, everyone involved with this, and everyone behind the scenes, great big thank you. It's always a pleasure. I love doing this commentary. I'm going to see you tomorrow afternoon again, and hopefully we'll see you. Are you racing in the tournament, Deathlake?
No. Sorry.
Neither am I. As I'm fond of pointing out, the last time I did a seed, I had to find the crystal. It wasn't something that we did with objectives at the time. So we're talking like several years ago. So I need to get back into the game. It's something I still have to do, and it's on my list. But anyway, if you've been with us tonight, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate having you, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yep. See you all next seed.